What's happening, everyone? Long time no see. Can't stop, won't stop. How's it going? Welcome to the RHMax channel, where you may be educated on many things crypto related. However, none of which contains financial advice. Remember that. Remember that. I do not tell you how to trade. I do not make price predictions. I simply try to get people on the show to tell you what's going on in the ecosystem, and myself with commentary as well. So, anyways, cool show today. I'm interested. You're interested. PulseChain's going down. Oh gosh, it dipped a little bit after going up like hundreds of percent or so. PulseChain PulseX INC. I don't know if you guys heard of INC before. If you haven't, I don't know. I don't know about that INC. Done forever token or key to the liquidity equation on the ecosystem. Not sure where to go with it yet. I know I've never lost faith in it. Anyways, we'll get into it in a minute. But without further ado, I got Neil for T-shirts back on the show. How's it going, Neil?
Hey, Max. Good to have you. Glad to be here, man. Glad to talk to you again. So let's see what we're going to talk about today.
I'm glad you could beat Red Squirrel here. That's the most important thing.
That's right.
He's usually first or within top 5. It's true.
I know, right?
How's your day going, man? You know, red candles right now. Are you sad?
Oh, no. I am very happy. I am enjoying the volatility. I love it.
Wow, you enjoy volatility. Well, you may be in the right place, sir. Crypto and RH ecosystem, we've been volatile to the upside recently. What do you make? Because I had you on, what has it been, 2 or 3 weeks, right before
the pump.
Judgment Day. Like, I don't know what we're calling that. Yeah. That time. How's it been since? What, maybe give us a little bit of landscape ecosystem. What's excited you? And of course, we got some good stuff to get into. But what's been exciting lately? Not a lot of people are talking about maybe.
Well, I mean, obviously, with Richard, pumping the chain using the SAC funds, which on your.
Oh no, rugged. He tried to say the entity, the OA entity.
Sorry.
He's back. You're back.
I'm on my phone. Says I had a call coming through.
Sorry, Richard. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Neil.
All right. Anyway, I called in your show what Richard was going to do, and it happened. So I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was if you haven't seen, what was the name of that show too? What did we do? It was really good. I clipped so much out of that one.
Oh man.
Go back and look a couple weeks, everyone. I think that was it beginning of January or I think beginning.
It was about 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, beginning of January, end of December. Anyways,
it was right before New Year's because I was leaving right out of town after that stream. So yeah, it was right before New Year's.
Okay, everyone go check that stream. By the way, if you want to binge something, I got all the clips that have already came out, and I think all of them came out at this point. But that was chock full of information that, again, Neil was spot on for a lot of this stuff. So, but yeah, of that too, what has been, I don't know, what's been surprising to you? I know we were kind of like, is it go time? Is it not go time? Like everyone in the ecosystem is trying to figure this out. But how does it feel to not to see this stuff actually happen?
Well, it's pretty good because, I mean, we were all obviously in a realm of uncertainty with what Richard was going to do with the SEC legal stuff and how he was kind of being quiet. But now that he showed himself to be, all right, now it's time to do this and put PulseChain in the map. And he's done it. I mean, he's used the SAC funds and stuff and the money from the trades when USDC lost peg several months ago to really, push the chain, which is great. It's allowing people to get out who want to get out. That's great, and that's all part of it. And it allows people who see, hey, there's opportunity to come in and to move the money around. So people, who made some poor decisions, who left the chain and chased yield elsewhere, now they get caught out with the pants down because now they have to get back and they're going to pay extra fees. They're going to lose their positions and stuff like that. So that's on them. I mean. People make decisions and they have to live the consequences of the actions. That's just part of being in crypto. But and again, some people have more money they can afford to lose. That's okay. I mean, I can't blame people for seeking better opportunities when the money's treated better. So
it's one of those. I feel like we've all been yelling it for 2 years now, year and a half or so. Like everyone, do you think genius billionaire founder guy is going to let this thing go to zero? Do you think that the community is going to let this thing go to zero? Do you think is Hex a meme coin? Like how does, I get the sad feelings. I get it's hard, it's hard for everyone. Me too. There's sometimes I was like, man, what is going on? Like I knew eventually, like we would, what's happening would happen. I knew it eventually. I just didn't know when. And same with you. So it's one of those things where when it finally happens, it's kind of like optimism, disbelief. Is this really happening? But if you all look back, it all makes sense. Everything makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we with the hindsight being 2020, we'd be able to say, okay, I see why he had to do what he did. It was painful during the time. It's always the hardest, when you're in the valley, trying to, trudge through. But if you were wise and you had hope and belief what was going to happen, then you should have DCA'd in the whole way. Then you'd have been in great shape. I mean, I don't know. I bought a bunch of Pulse at the bottom. I was happy. I'm really happy now because obviously my Pulse is now appreciated. But better than that though, I'm accumulating Pulse and I'm not spending any money now. That's what I'm doing. I'm about the rest of y'all.
Yeah, it's like an enormous amount of time to be well positioned in this ecosystem. Enormous. Like again, you're looking back. It's like a chain too. It's like I think it'll be obvious in hindsight. Look back at this. Oh, PulseChain didn't launch so well. Oh, it went up and then went down. Nobody cares about any of that. If the price goes to the moon, nobody cares about what happened the first 8 months. Right. It's other than did they buy enough? Like that's the question people are going to be asking if this thing is the rocket ship that we all hope and believe it is. And,
well, the Solana guys don't think about their chain going down 3 or 4 times in a week, but when the price goes up, they forget about it and they keep buying more. So think about it. It's just human psychology.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. So what is before we get into the data too, because I know we want to talk about ratios. Is there anything surprised you as far as opportunities go to make money? By the way, Neil was on Making Money in Crypto series as well. That's an excellent episode. As far as making money in the ecosystem, the last 2 or 3 weeks, is there anything that surprised you that you kind of maybe thought of or didn't understand was there, and then you saw this opportunity come along?
I'm surprised Inc is pumping what it's doing, really. Not because of bond liquidity, just because people are actually speculating on it more. I'm just surprised people are willing to speculate on Inc. Personally, I find it interesting, just given that there's no use case for it still.
See, you thought PulseX was the meme coin, but now RH's meme coin appears to be Inc.
Well, what I'm saying is, I made a comment because it had no use case other than being a buy and burn. That's it. And it still does until he does something with it. It's still a buy and burn meme coin. But it's bonded so thickly with Pulse that they go up together, and that's the beauty of the system that he's built. And if you step back and take a bird's eye view of kind of the whole how you can kind of see his game plan and how he's working. He's always said he's only going to pump his own things, right? Or only going to promote, other than giving a shout out like to PH ecosystem and stuff. He's only going to pump his own things. We know that. So it's Hex, eHex, Pulse, and PulseX. Those are an Inc. If he talks about it or not. But like he said, it's his least favorite of all. But point is, his stuff he's going to make sure have green candles because his ego says so. And I don't blame him because he has a legacy he wants to maintain. And so I'm hopeful, given what he's done in the past and his personality and how he's always sought to protect his users and be a benevolent person in the system for people who believe in his products. We will always put it as. Sorry, my phone keeps getting calls. Is there a way to keep calls from coming through? Is airplane mode does it?
I can't remember. There's do not disturb. There's a do not disturb mode. If you hit your volume deal, I don't know if you have Apple or Android, but volume deal and then do not disturb, that should work.
I have Apple, so let me see.
It should, yeah. If you hit volume up and down, it should give you a little menu, and then you touch do not disturb or whatever mode.
Wow.
Shout out to Peso, dude. Squirrels for life. I agree.
I'm working with guys. I'm not. I don't do my phone stuff much. Well, we'll have to deal with it, I guess.
No worries. You'll make up for it. You'll make up for it. I'm sure. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to
Neil doesn't have a studio. Neil does have a studio for this free content. He has his brain, and he has a phone, and
my computer's in the shop right now, so it's just I'm waiting for it to get fixed.
Got to get the laptop fixed, man. Got to get it. It's a battery thing.
No, it was the port, the charging port.
That's okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Just on that too, just on Inc. We had a cover. It's just been Inc. credible. I thought G Young was going to be here, and he was my Inc. guy back when it was like $35, and yield farming was just like the most no brainer type of deal for, in my opinion, back then, and then of course
Oh,
went
yeah.
down. Let's APR, but just and again, I was talking about here. I think a bunch of different takes. I got one more take on it, put up here too that somebody tweeted at me. I think it's interesting, but I've always thought the farms being this core piece of the pitch of PulseChain, the liquidity, the bonding, getting people involved, giving them a place, own the casino type of thing with PulseX. I always knew it'd be valuable. I always knew it wouldn't be that dumb forever token. I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it would be the dumb forever. I didn't know how. I didn't know why. Look at the tokenomics. They're not, like Hex. They're not like, PulseChain. They're not like even PulseX at that point. There's the burning. There's no native stuff. There may be stuff with Tetra later, but is that the key? Again, a lot of things are just different in the RH ecosystem. Why is INC different? Why are people? Is it just speculation, or do you think there's something that we just haven't uncovered yet?
Well, it's got a lot of liquidity that does help to keep the price from just dumping to zero. I mean, it's still at what it hit. The low was what, 30 something cents. It hit, or 30, not 39, 40 cents.
40s. I want to say high 40s or 40. Yeah, so it's been up like 10x or something. Maybe might have touched it. 8 to 10.
So it never went zero, right? It never went sub penny, anything like that, like Hex did, which is kind of funny if you think about it. It's a token you get for farming for free if you provide LP, and still didn't go to zero, which Hex, or didn't go sub penny, but Hex did. So or even Pulse and PulseX aren't performing as well, which is kind of hilarious. But again, I think that's because the community were speculating on it. That's why it pumps so much. I'm surprised they are.
Speculate. What would make them say this thing will go up?
Because it went to $70 before. I think because it went to $70 before, they think it would repeat again. That's psychology, right? It already hit an all-time high once at launch in a bear market. Now we're going to a bull market. It should probably go past that. That'd be what I would say that's driving the speculation on an incentive token.
Gotcha. Got another take here from the great Hexolio. I believe he said he'd be in the chat today. Shout out to him if he is. So in a closed system where everything is tied to the dollar, the one that isn't INC is only bound to Pulse, PulseX. Benevolent entity inject capital disproportionately to the largest portion of PulseChain buy. Yeah. So this angle of whales buying things that are bonded to INC, regardless of the fact that it's front and center of the PulseX ecosystem for yield farming, that sort of like it already has its own, it already has its place to be showcased. Like people see it, they know what they get it for, all that stuff. Is it liquidity bonding and speculation? Again, just trying to help people understand like why INC go up.
Well, yeah, it's because liquidity bonding. That is the reason. So, all right, if you look at your chart and look up INC, I would like to see how much it's went up. I know it's went up to 10x in Pulse in dollar terms, but has it done 10x in Pulse terms? That'd be my question, because that's the ratio you need to see where INC is today in compares to where it was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. You see, that's the true telling of value. Because look, everybody's got green candles now. Every pair that's out there that's bonded to Pulse has green candles because Pulse is pulling it up, no matter what the token is. But in ratio terms, in Pulse value, how much has that ratio changed? Because some things are went upside down and they're worth less. Now, a good example is Tetra. Tetra used to be able to get 14 Pulse for one Tetra token. Now you only get like 6.5 to 7, or whatever it is right now. So technically, Tetra has actually went down in value in Pulse terms, but went up in value in dollar terms. So that's the true rate. That's the true numbers. All right. So where are we at now?
You look at the daily 15. What do you think is?
So
wow.
Yeah, you can zoom in. Yeah. So about the bottom is where we started injecting capital. So yeah, just went up pretty good. So that's about 8 to 3. It's 3x. So it's 3x in Pulse terms. 10x in dollar terms.
So what does that mean for people? Like, what does that mean?
It means, though, you're getting a 10x in dollar terms, and if you bought INC at the bottom, at that bottom point, and you sold it today, in dollar terms, you get 10x your dollar amount you put in dollar terms. But in Pulse terms, you only get a 3x. Okay, that's a big difference, because what do you want to hold right now in a market that's moving up with these tokens like Pulse and PulseX? Do you want to hold dollar coins, or do you want to hold the assets appreciating? Well, I want to hold the assets as appreciating personally.
Things that are bonded to the thing appreciating too.
But here's the thing. Just because something is bonded, not necessarily ink. Ink's a little different, but let's say you have just any meme token is bonded to Pulse. Just because Pulse is going to pump and bring it up in dollar terms does not mean you can get your Pulse out of it. So you go to trade, you're going to get less and less Pulse for the same number of tokens as time goes on, unless other people buy that meme token with the Pulse they have. You see, that's the important thing.
But the chart here is, I mean, if you just look at this chart in retrospect, it looks like, hey, Ink is outperforming Pulse. Ink went up more than anything else. It did that before. Now it's just speculation. Like, why would this chart, again, this is not against USD, this is against Pulse. It's not USD chart. Why is it going up so much against PulseChain?
It's doing better because more people are buying it, and it's got lower liquidity. It's only got, what's the liquidity? It's 22 million versus 50. So it's half the liquidity of a Pulse right now. Roughly.
Actually, well, GoPulse says 7 million. You say 22 million here? Okay.
Yeah. So what it is, it's less liquidity. So as people buy, it pushes the price up, right? Faster than it does Pulse or PulseX for the same amount of money, right? It just, V2 liquidity, how it works. So there you go. There's your good example of and more people speculating on it versus maybe just buying Pulse or PulseX for whatever reason. And there's nothing wrong with that. These are good games to play. And because of that tweet, the guy was exactly right. The bond liquidity allows people to extract value with the Ink token without having a dollar coin attached to it. So there's no stable coin attached to Ink in the large liquidity pool. So if you want to get out with Ink, you're getting out via Pulse or PulseX, whichever pair has the best, I think it's liquidity. Gives you the most value for your value you can extract. So if you're farming right now and you're farming Ink tokens, you're going to get more and more Pulse as you exit out than you were 3 weeks ago.
I want to bring up to this one and just talk about what Richard said. So I thought the most interesting part of this was he given a hint here? So the chart kind of looks like leverage on PLS and PLSX. Is there any hint? You read anything into that?
Let's see here. Well, kind of. I mean, so he's just saying the same thing. He's like, look at the bond liquidity and how it works, because that's the key. See, Richard's done this in such a way that all his stuff's going to move together, right? And he's going to allow. I mean, if you hold Hex and you want to get out now, you can get out through 3 different ways. Through Ink's a way, because you could trade a pair from Hex to Ink to Pulse, or Hex to Pulse, or Hex to PulseX, or however you want to do it. So, I mean, if you're a Hexagon, you will have a way out. And that's good because, I mean, it allows you to do it in a way that really doesn't just destroy the charts. Because now you have, 3 different tokens, all 3 bonded together, and 3 different, probably more than that. Let's see, you have 3 different pools. And those 3 pools share liquidity. So therefore, they're all going to move and respond with each other, respectively, as the price of the main asset goes up and down in dollar terms. Because it's paired with DAI.
Well, we saw what happened with ICOSA recently too. Tommy talks a lot about ICOSA being leverage on Hex, for example. Is that kind of what people are picking up? When you say that, it's like, oh, well, does that mean ICOSA could go up way more than Hex from the bottom, that kind of thing? Or you think people are kind of relating Ink to, well, Ink, if Ink is leverage on Pulse and PulseX, could Ink go up more than they could? Is that kind of part of the speculation?
Exactly. And Tommy was dead on. I listened to his video earlier today. He was dead on. That's exactly right. Just because how they're ratioed together in liquidity. So, and maybe more people speculate too on like ICOSA, Hedron, and things like that in the system. So it just depends on where you want to be and where you want to end up. And this is where you have to have a good plan in place. And markets are moving like this. Where do you want to end up in which token? Do you want to be in Pulse, PulseX, Hex, ICOSA, Hedron, Ink, whatever? Because they're all kind of tied together now within the system. And there's good place you can be to leverage and get more of the token you want to end up. If you want to end up, like Sami said, if you want to end up in Hex and you pick ICOSA now, you can buy more Hex later, because it'll probably go up faster than Hex does, just because of how it works. I thought that was a pretty interesting and astute analysis he did.
Oh, shout out to ICOSA, by the way, just blazing recently, blazing. I don't know if people got it liquid or they've been staking or what, but if you pick some up when it was 3 or 4 cents, it's more than it was now.
Oh yeah.
More.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a good deal back in the day, and I was very happy with my purchases.
Yeah. Is that I feel like some of these topics you can't even explain to people, because it's like you do your research, you figure this stuff out, you see the potential, the numbers add up, you make the choices, you position yourself, it happens, and then everyone's like, how did I miss it? And you're like, what do you mean? Right? Like, how is it, or like, is it, I can't explain it sometimes. I can't explain how people miss these type of things, either not paying attention. Is it just not paying attention? Maybe that's it. They're just not paying attention.
I think it's some of that. Some of it. These are pretty complicated, advanced topics, though. We're looking at multiple assets that are bonded in various ways and mechanisms through different protocols. So the icosahedron's bonded to Hex, Ink's bonded to Pulse and PulseX, and all 5 are bonded together in some form or fashion. Whereas EHEX, if you add EHEX to it, 6, well, 7, 8, ehedron and phedron, ehedron and eicosa. So you got all these tokens that kind of work together. So it's pretty complicated to understand how this works. Then you got to look at what the Hex guys are doing with the big whales who are going to be moving liquidity in and out, trying to get their positions, or trying to set buy walls, sell walls, all these things. So there's a lot of games can be played, and fortunately, the majority of at least I say for it's just the way it is now. Most of the liquidity is in V2 liquidity, not V3. So the manipulation by the whales, which is not a bad thing, it's not wrong with it. It's just the fact they're not moving it like they were on Ethereum with just V3 liquidity. V2 liquidity is a little different, so they have to get their positions a little differently, because that's when the majority of the liquidity is. So that's just where we are.
That's what people bring up a lot too, is that the liquidity on Ethereum for EHEX is so thin. Is that our edge on EHEX going up and outperforming?
Yep, it could, because it's very little liquidity. It didn't take a whole lot of money to push it up. You get a whale come in, they can put a lot of, they can set the price and push the price where they want it, very easily. And that's what happened in the past, right? I mean, originally, Hex followed the chart, and it went up like it did because of liquidity management, by whoever was controlling the large amount of Hex, and that brought the price where it did, and allowed people to exit with reasonable amounts, not just dump the chart on everybody's head. So, yeah, it was a very well planned and well thought out strategy to have good price appreciation on these assets.
There's a statement here from Sindre. Good to see some corrections going up straight line. Forever ain't healthy. We need to make some strong support levels. Is it? Don't jinx us, but is it going back? Are we not in? Once this switch got flipped, once the whales started doing the whale things in a benevolent way, could we see it go below SAC price again, or do you just think it's, hey, this is up and to the right? How do you feel about it?
I mean, anything's possible. So I would not want to say, yeah, it's always up and to the right from here, because you never know what actors will do. You never know, people have a situation, they need the money, or they just they panic sell, or they're ready to leave the system. Everybody has their own reason. So there's a lot of people with a lot of pulse that could dump the price. A lot of people, a lot of Hex that could dump the price to a certain point. Not tons and tons. There's like 200 something wallets that hold massive positions right now. How many of those are going to be true and stay the course? How many are going to buy back lower and try to increase their positions? How many will stay liquid versus staking? All these questions will be asked, because this is now we're in the second cycle. Hex has dumped 99%. This next cycle here, will more people stay liquid to take advantage of, say, we hit another 50 cents? Probably so. I would speculate so. If I was sitting with a lot of Hex, I would want to stay more liquid than stake, just because I want to get out at a better price this time versus last time. If you were staked through the 50-cent mark, you missed out on your gains, right? Let's say you had a stake that started at a penny, ended at a penny. You missed out on all the. You'd be like, oh man, right. You got a lot of Hex and T shares in all your yield, but now you can't exit. So it's like, well, I'm stuck.
I think that's why the ladders are so powerful. I think I love seeing people 5 stuff. We see wells on, if you get alerts on Twitter, you see people doing millions of Hex for 5, 10, 15 years. and they believe in this thing long term. They can wait. They don't need the money now. But yeah, there's a lot of people last year who staked. They bought the top, they staked. Nobody likes to see it go from 40 cents to 1 cent, that sort of thing. But I guess I'm struggling to find a lot of upside other than if they stake for a few years, maybe they'll hit the next cycle, or it also just the price wise. If you bought at 40 cents and then you picked it up under a penny or so, your average price, if you bought the same amount, I did the math before, it comes out to your average price is like 2 cents, right? That sort of thing. So even if you did buy high last year and you staked, locked it up or whatever, and you couldn't sell, you watched it go down and down and down. And now you're, getting a little bit, but it's still not at 40 cents. You're still not feeling like, oh, I made a good choice. Just remember, if you DCA'd, like everyone's been screaming at you the last 2 years, and you were able to get a much better price, your DC, like the 40 cent price can go away. It totally can go away. It can be annihilated. You can literally, not just in your mind. I'm not saying forget about the price. I'm saying that the bottom line, the numbers will make it irrelevant because your DCA price will be much, much lower. So silver lining, if nothing else, if you've been DCAing, and I think a lot of people have. Some people sad, quit, lost, click sale and went away. But a lot of people are like, I'm not losing. I'm going to win this game. And God bless you for staying here. It's been good so far.
Well, that's the overall theory and design that Richard had is the long-term holders will benefit the most long term. Maybe now just like a half a penny is now the new bottom, right? It won't go to 3 zeros and a 1 ever again, right? We're too far away from that. Maybe after this cycle, let's say hits a dollar, and it goes and the lowest ever goes back down to again is 10 cents, right? And you have you have a higher high and a higher low over time, and as each cycle happens, it keeps going up and up and up and up to where if you do have a 10, 15, 20 year, 10 or 15 year stake, or a 5 year stake in another, say 2-3 years from now, maybe you'll be hit around 12, 15, 20 cents. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's something that I think Hex just got hit so hard with the the stock split. It got hit with PulseChain again. What was it? Who was talking about this a lot? I remember. I think Alex from Hedron was saying, "Hey, Hex ain't doing that bad. It's just PulseChain that's just dragging it down so far." So a lot of people like to look at Hex and point at it because they had the bag that went down, but really Hex hasn't been doing that bad. It's not a copium statement. That is like a fact. It's just everything else around it that's been liquidity bonded and all the situations it's had to go through and all the controversy and otherwise. That's been doing it. Hex, nothing wrong with Hex itself.
Well, how many people sold their Hex who had Hex bags in Ethereum for all the sacrifices, or not just PulseChain itself, but PulseX and everything else, right? So yes, the PulseChain and PulseX sacks didn't really hurt the price, but other sacks did. So people who sold their Hex for these other sacrifices, or for other things, or to buy or to market buy Pulse at the bottom, all that affected the Hex price. So I mean, so if I'm holding Hex, do I believe Hex will go up faster than Pulse or PulseX? If I do, would I take that gamble? And maybe I do. I mean, maybe I'm not one of those people who would have done that with my Hex bag to hopefully have better ROI on my PulseX bags, thinking it will go faster than Hex will, and then later on buy more Hex. Maybe that's what I decided. Those are the type of things I think help hurt the price of Hex, which then add that to the price of Pulse and everything, and you have a perfect storm for Hex going down to 99%.
Just one more thing. I'll be back in just a second if you want to talk to this. Never selling Hex. I'm staked on both chains. Yeah. How do you feel about EHEX, PX, cheapest T shares? You tend to do one ratio over another. I've said it before. I do average, I would say 60-40. Cheapest T share, but if I'm going to go more in one or another and it's the same going on, I'll probably go through PHEX. But yeah, you want to talk to that for a minute? I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. PHEX obviously is a better deal, costs less to unstake and all that good stuff. With Ethereum, you still have issues with your fees. You never know what the fees are going to be in a long time from now. So we don't know what the price to unstake is going to be. And if people are in position or don't have enough economic value to stake long term to where overcome the in-stake fees, it may be better to hold off on staking on Ethereum until you have tools like I think it was Barista, the guys at the Steakhouse, from the guys from Magic Carpet Ride, or other things that will help you reduce the cost of your in-stake fees. So there's tools are coming out that will soften that blow for people and spread the load amongst others. So I would stay with PHEX until we have other means to have a cheaper in-stake fees when the stakes come due. Because I had a stake bleed out. It's bleeding out right now. It's cost prohibitive to in-stake on Ethereum. So it's just, and I'm not the only one. There's lots of people who are stuck with the cost, and that's understandable.
We could solve that, Neil, by staking longer and harder and bigger, so it doesn't matter, right? So that's
the other, that's the other solution, right? But if you're trying to do a ladder, and let's say you only have $10,000 and you split it up in $1,000 each, well, the short-term ones on Ethereum are just going to be hard to, unless the price goes way up, hard to in-stake those versus the longer terms. So that's just economic reality.
It's crazy. I think eventually Ethereum will solve the fees, but I don't think it'll be this cycle. So I'm not factoring in this cycle. So I guess the interesting thing from that would be, the way I think about it is, if I'm doing shorter ones that I don't think are going to be pushed out, if I'm not pushing them out to the next cycle or so, or say 2 or 3 years, whatever you don't put on it, the shorter ones, I'm much more likely to do PX, just because I know I'll be able to unstake them if they're, especially if they're small enough that it's actually going to matter, those fees. I don't want to be sitting here timing, up at 2 a.m. Oh my gosh, can I end my stake? I don't want to do anything of that. So either I'm going to stake big enough where it doesn't matter, or I'm going to do pulled staking of sort. You mentioned it, Maximus, all that stuff too. I think they're coming out with Pool Party at some point.
Yeah,
or
that's right, yeah.
I'm going to, just do PX, because, EX just doesn't make sense for me this year to stake out for 6 months, 1 year, maybe year and a half. But so the shorter term, I would say more PulseChain Hex. And the ones after that, I don't care. I think Vitalik's a smart guy. I don't think he's going to sit around and be like, well, you guys just got to pay it. This is just how much it costs. Like, I think him and everyone else, the devs there, realize that. And if they get it, what if we get it too? And our cheese or PulseChain goes up so much, you start complaining about gas fees again. But then it's worth so much more, and then we get the gas fee reduction. Oh my gosh, Neil! Oh my gosh, this was a good idea, wasn't it? This PulseChain thing.
So it's like somebody was smart when they had thought about it, right?
Genius billionaire founder guy. Sometimes they make good decisions. Their judgment, their judgment was pretty good. Let's get into the ratios, man.
Sure.
That's something that we were talking about too, that I wanted to make very clear for people. So I'm going to put this chart in the chat. You want us to follow along. If you're confused about ratios and how to make money on them, we're gonna clarify right now. Go for it, Neil.
Okay, so now we're in a unique situation on this chain, because we have 2 big assets, Pulse and PulseX, that have the biggest liquidity pool on the chain, right? It's over $50 million in Pulse and PulseX, in the 52 million in liquidity. Okay, and they're tied to each other so well that, and Richard wants them both to succeed, that we have an opportunity here to do something that probably doesn't exist on Ethereum. Now, a ratio is a ratio. So whether it's between stables or assets that are volatile like these, it's still a ratio. But the difference between, like, say, 2 stable coins and 2 volatile assets like this is that the range it moves is different. So stable coins stay within about $1, so you're only going a small, up to maybe 1.5%, 2% above and below peg. That's just typically your range there, max. Usually less than that. But with volatile assets, the ratios can swing wildly. When we talked last time, we were at 3.75 ratio. We were at 1 pulse, got you 3.75 PulseX. Today, 1 pulse gets you, at this moment, I think around 2.4 or 6. That's a big difference. All right. So if you wanted PulseX, you should have bought it 3 weeks ago with your Pulse. You'd have got way more PulseX than you buy it today. So people understand that. So I'll do the quick math. It's just basic math. If 3 weeks ago 1 pulse was 3.75 you could trade 1 pulse to get 3.75 PulseX, and then the ratio changed. Now you can only get 2.6, and you did trade it. You could take the 3.75 and trade it today and get more pulse if you were in PulseX than you had at the end of the trade. So it's 2 trades. Pulse to PulseX, then PulseX to Pulse, and you made about a 17% gain in your trade. Big difference.
So walk us through that with an example, like literally, like what sites do we go to, like all that stuff. How do you actually execute this opportunity how do you identify it, and then how do you execute as soon as you do?
Okay, so here you are, Deck Screener, and you click in the upper right. There's a thing that says USDC/Pulse. If you click it by default, it's on USD terms. You click at the Pulse terms, and you see the ratio of Pulse to PulseX on the far right vertical column. And we can see on this image, we see that it's went. It's on my phones. I'm trying to remember the numbers. It's around 3.39 to 0.41, I think is what you got up there, thereabouts, which is roughly a 3% difference. So in this particular snapshot, which is only about 2 days here I'm looking at, Pulse has moved through this range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 times. 8 times, if you just set a limit order using Omnis, you can started with Pulse, traded PulseX, went back to Pulse, went back to PulseX, over and over again in the 3% range. You'd had 4 trades, and you would have had 12% increase in your bag size, regardless of the price. You're silent on my end.
Sorry. Go to omnis.tetra.run, and then from swap to limit order, and then here you go from we're doing Pulse or PulseX to
it don't matter. Just click Pulse. Just use regular Pulse. Just go Pulse to PulseX. Yeah, you can see if you go hit one, if you just put a number at the top, it don't matter what you put. All right, if you go to the bottom, it says the double arrows. It says Pulse X per Pulse. Click that. All right, and you see it says put right, just a little bit better, 0.5% better than current market rate is 0.04. That's the current ratio. If you go back to Deck Screener, you'll see that's where you are on the chart, or real close to it, right? We're almost right there at the current price is 0.40. Okay. So now, if you go back to Omnis and say, I want to be better than that. So if you go and move the slider over to hits 3%. The next price point from here is 0.39. So if the price goes down, right, and you get that ratio, you'll get more PulseX for Pulse. But right now, Pulse will probably pump. So if you invert your trade, go PulseX on top, right, and put some numbers up there. All right. Right now, the ratio is 2.48. Now, it don't show this on Deck Screener because I guess you can click it at the bottom. It's the same thing. You just click the bottom. Yeah, still 0.40. Now go 3% again. 0.041. What's the top of our chart on Deck Screener? 0.041, right? They're close to it. I can't.
Are you talking about where it is now, or where it was in this range?
Where it was. See, you can hit that top, or maybe it's or maybe it's 2.5%. Whatever the math is on this. The point is in this is if you just started with Pulse, went to PulseX, now your Pulse is going back to Pulse. When it goes back up, you'll get more Pulse for your original trade than you started with, 3% more. You see.
So for the previous trade we're looking at, we were trying to get it for 0.39. And now so if we had it for that, we would be able to see the ratio went up from there, and then sell it and then make the difference.
Exactly. So all you're doing is you're swapping back and forth, but each time you're doing it, you're buying low and selling high, but you're just swapping the assets, and you get more of the other asset. And because they're bonded together really tightly, they're not going to deviate too far. I want to say 4 to 1 was the maximum it went in the highest volatility very early on, and when it's closest, almost 2 to 1. So that's a pretty good difference in ratio terms. And for a long time, we went from 3.5 to 3.75 before the pump. So these are opportunities you could use these tools like Omnis and these limit orders to increase your positions. And you just got to look at your chart and see where the ratio range is, and say, okay, well, either you have maybe a bag of each in your wallet. You trade your bag for the other asset at the ratio, and then when it goes the other way, you trade the other way, and you just keep doing that over and over again, and you just increase your bag size. It won't cost you anything except gas.
So, for example, here, if we see, okay, it went down to 03943 or sorry 03943.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that right? 3943. And then we say, okay, went there before. Now it's up here. I want to catch it because I think it's maybe I think it'll go more. Maybe I think it'll just go back up here. It'll kind of go within this range, kind of like we talked about before. I think it's going to go up here. Then I set a limit order to catch it when it's low, and then could I set another limit order to sell it when it goes up here again?
Well, if you have, let's say you have two bags. This works with two bags. Like you have a bag of Pulse, a bag of PulseX, right? That's what you do. You sell one at the top and you buy one at the bottom, and you reverse that when they complete. You see, and that's the trick. Because all you do is trading assets one from the other by using the ratios. Don't worry about dollars, because it doesn't matter what the dollars are. Ratios are ratios. They don't care about dollars. You see, and then right now people are buying PulseX up because they're speculating. They're waiting for earn protocol, right, and all these other things. And so, but we know that there's 3 times as much PulseX as there's Pulse as far as in circulation in the market and stuff. And so that's maybe, so 3 to 1 is probably about what it should be in overall ratio terms as far as supply. But that you deviate from that that ideal ratio because of speculation and market volatility. So these are opportunities that people can use these tools like Omnis to set these ratios, because they could be doing both sides and increasing their bag of both Pulse and PulseX. And it's basically risk free, because either it doesn't deploy or you get more of the other asset. I mean, how can you go wrong? They're both going to go up in value because they're both being pulled up with bond liquidity.
Amazing. And how much? So I guess that's the other point here too, is why should people pay attention to it? Like, how much can you actually make doing it? Is it worth doing it, or is it just kind of like this 5% yield, 10% yield? Like, how much do you think per month somebody deploying this strategy, just setting limit orders, how much could you make if there's, with the volatility you've seen with the pair so far?
Well, today, or within the last 2 days, they could have made 12%. So go make 12% in 2 days anywhere else. On your bag size, not dollar value, bag size, big difference. I mean, that's a lot, So if you just watch the chart and saw the activity and set your limit orders, I got some been deploying all day long. I've been watching this myself. So I mean, I never not have a limit order on doing this, because you're leaving money on the table when you do. If you're not using limit orders for these two assets and trying to trade the spread on the ratio, you're losing money. I mean, you might as well. It's free money. It's literally free money, because it costs you nothing. There's no risk, because you can end up with one or the other, and both are great products. Both are going to go up in value because of RH. It's kind of like, it's almost like trading EHEX and PHEX. They do the exact same thing with the ratios with it, except it's a little different because the whales can manipulate this that more so than this. But even hex, you add hex to the mix, you could have a 3-way trade, hex, Pulse, and PulseX. And you could do the exact same thing if you want to add hex to the mix, add another dynamic. But it takes a little bit more thought and planning to do that. This is simple.
So hit this one home for us real quick too. Again, everyone listening who some may be confused or otherwise just kind of, elevator music right now. Once you complete this trade, once you get it lower and you sell it higher, you've increased your bag size, let's say 10, 12%, whatever it is, you end up making. Again, the disconnect there is, how much more money did I make? Can you try to just make that clear for people? How much more money did I make by doing this?
Well, it's a function of the dollar value at the end of the day, right? Because this is a ratio trade, increasing token count, not how much money did I make. That will only be what the price is that day. So at the end of this trade, you made 3% more tokens. What's 3% of PulseX times the current, or your bag times the price? That's how much money you made.
Let's just say the prices stayed the same or went up or whatever. So you just made 12% more. You have a million PulseX, you have a million Pulse, and then you do this trade, and now you have 12%
more,
or
or 12% more, whatever. Yeah, it's one trade would be 3%. You get 3% more in dollar value because tokens went up 3% in token count. That's just it's that number. Whatever your bag size is. See, people have a hard time separating USD value because that's what everybody sees versus the ratios that are on the charts. I mean, dollars are okay. And the only time dollars really count is when you want to exit the system. That's it. You only care about dollars when you want to leave. When you're in it, you want to increase your positions, right? How many tokens can you get? How many units can you acquire while you're in the system? In doing ratio trading, this is how you acquire units. The more units you have, at the end of the day, when, say, you're top of the bull, then you have a lot more money because you acquired a lot more units that appreciate in value. So this is kind of one of the no-brainer ways to use like these limit order tools with Omnis to really increase your position with zero risk. I mean, you pay a small fee and some gas, and then now you went up 3% in your bag size. I mean, that's just that simple. So today was an ideal day to do this. You could have made, at least 9% in your bag size if you'd have traded this just a 3% range and been conservative. Now, if you'd went back up into the high at that 44, you could have made even more on that one trade. If you'd have sold the top and bought that bottom, you'd increase your position by, whatever that distance is. I can't look at it from here, but
yeah, it's around 44.35.
Yeah. Carry your blue box up. See what that percentage is.
Yeah, around 8%.
You'd have 8% on that one trade. See. So these are opportunities that present themselves. If you zoom out and you kind of look at do your own TA and see the path of the chart, you can then say, okay, well, it's been kind of running this range for the last couple of days. I'll try to do this, say a 3 to 5% range, or whatever, or 1% or 2%, whatever your risk tolerance is, or where you think you need to be to kind of reset your ratio. Because once you make one trade, you got to make another to be back in better position, right? That's why it's important to have two bags. If you took $100 and put it in today in market bought Pulse and PulseX and have two different bags, and you traded each one based upon that percentage, 3% one way or the other, you should be able to increase your positions and then move it around every time they deploy. Then move it, watch your positions, adjust your ratios, and do the same thing. And you should be able to easily acquire and your tokens and increase your position over the long term.
And talk about the compound limit orders that are coming too. How does that make this even easier?
It's just going to allow you to do the second part of the trade. That's all. It'll just like in this one, you want to say, hey, I want to buy it at 0.4241, and I'm going to sell it at or whatever, and sell it at 0.44. Okay, there you go. You just do it in one action instead of two.
I like one click.
Yeah, just makes it a little simpler. That's all.
Wow. And so let's say that you put a position, you put $1,000 in for a limit order, and it hit the ratio, maybe partially got filled. Would it just keep, it gets filled a little bit, and then your limit order stays there until expiration, and then if it does it again, it'll get filled a little bit more, and eventually you'll look and see your bag size has changed, for the good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you should be able to track it. If you go to order history, you start off with, say, 1 million pulse, and you trade and you get whatever it is in PulseX terms, and you trade back, you should get more than 1 million pulse, the second time. After that, the second one deploys, right? And now you have, say, 1.3 million, pulse, whatever it is, or 1.03 million pulse. And you trade that back, and you go back again. Now you have 1.6. You trade it again. Now you have almost 2, or whatever it works out math-wise. You say you keep doing that, and your pulse bag gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you do the same thing with PulseX. You just do the opposite. And that's why it's important. If you have two bags, though, they both can deploy simultaneously based upon whichever side you're on. You see. And so that's the beauty. That's the beauty. They're moving as wick. Say if a big candle comes up, you may buy one, sell the other, and big candle comes down, does the opposite. You see. That's kind of how you got to think about it in those terms. And it's really a simple way to use these limit order tools to increase your positions without and bring fresh capital to the market.
It's amazing, yeah. Like this type of stuff again. everyone out there, if you have to rewind or otherwise to understand ratio trading, it's one of those concepts that people are making money doing it. So just figure out how it works before you do it. Like anything else, like yield farming and anything else, these are advanced strategies that they once they're explained simply, they're a little easier to understand. But boy, is anyone getting this information anywhere else in crypto? I've been literally going to every day. I've been going to live streams I just type in crypto, sort by the biggest live streams, and I'll go in there and see what they're talking about. It's all just ref links, and it's all just talking about either Bitcoin or they're just like chatting about stuff. Nobody's going over the charts. Like very few people. I mean, there's some people that go over the charts, but it's like they're not going over PulseChain. They're going over like Bitcoin, or maybe they talk about other stuff from time to time, but they're not talking about like these like actual strategies to help you realize all the money making opportunities. And I think your ecosystem is so different. Like we have creators that are just really, we access and stuff too, just really go deep on these topics. So this another advantage that PulseChain has. We do have the best content creators. It's not even close.
Well, also we have true DeFi over here. That's another difference. We're not, trying to, using CeFi to dump on your heads and, and doing all the games that they do over there. That's a big difference.
I feel like you really, I don't know how it feels coming in new to PulseChain, but I think coming in, going to watching other ecosystems, it just feels like what are you guys talking about? Like, what is this? It always feels like it leads back to some centralized thing. There's like some funnel they're trying to get you into. It's so weird. It's like, okay, like I'm here to learn about stuff. It's like, oh, but go in this funnel. That's not just, I don't know. It's kind of strange.
Well, look, think about this though. Where can you go in Ethereum and get yield in Ethereum? I don't know any place just gives you yield.
Celsius.
Right. So think about this. We got liquid loans. We got internet money. We're going to have Earn protocol. We got Spark Swap, and we have, let's see what else, top of my head. Those are the ones who give you Pulse for staking.
Mintra.
Yeah, Mintra. That's right. Mintra. Yeah. You get Pulse. You get the native asset that's going up in value right now for staking or however they're holding or whatever. They're tokens, right? So that's powerful, because if you were, let's say you were in liquid loans and you have a loan token and you're staking this whole time, and you're earning some USDL, but you've been getting Pulse too. That's wonderful. You're getting this appreciating asset, right?
Yeah.
Internet money, you just hold out that token in your wallet, and you get Pulse from fees. What's going to happen when that Pulse is 10, 20, 30x's in time? That's a lot of money you've earned, just by holding a token, staking in a wallet. And these are wonderful, powerful DeFi tools that you can't get on Ethereum, but we have them here, and that makes all the difference.
Just looking at the shout out to Just Ask Jesse, he posted a chart about PulseChain dominating over here. I'm looking at this. So we're at number 8 of the 1 month change under, what is this, TVL? Yeah, TVL 1 month change. We're number 8, PulseChain number 8. We are the largest TVL of the number. So actually number 1 in TVL change of the higher percentages of the top 10. Yeah, everything else, we're 13,385, all this low millions. We have 440 million TVL plus 198% over the last month. Don't look at the last month, 114% of the last week. Mm-hmm. Where on earth can you see a TVL double on an L1 in a week?
I've never heard of it before. Ethereum might have did it early on, just as it grew. But for us, it's like, with Richard, behind the helm, we're dominating. You add tools like liquid loans, who are locking up all this value in stability pool and all these stable coins. Think about it. We've converted and locked up all our assets in these vaults. Well, those who take out loans, they have stable coins, and they either lock them up or use them or buy more asset or whatever they're doing with them. It's a recipe for greatness, because we have the right tools doing the right things at the right time. And when you add things like Tetra, when Tetra launches with Tetra staking, you'll be able to get Pulse and then eventually stable coins for your staking your Tetra. So it'd be another yield bearing asset. I did videos on yield bearing assets in the past of all the stuff that was coming out, months ago. And so those are things you want to accumulate. Those are the type of things you want to have in your wallet, because it's free money. It just drips into your wallet, or are you unstake, or however you want to you acquire that yield.
I want to say a special shout out to Kerry Reed. I'm comfortable trading Forex and options. This is new and I am interested. What would you say to Kerry here about our ecosystem, and if based on his background,
Well, I would say that to Kerry that these are opportunities that present you a lot less risk, or really no risk for this particular type of trading, because of the bond liquidity, you have something unique. And Pulse and PulseX, particularly, that pair is a unique pair to trade. And I would say this is probably the best way, the best pair to trade this type of a ratio game, because you could do it very safely. Because even if you end up with one or the other for a long period of time, you've lost nothing, because both of them will eventually be able to be used as collateral to borrow against in either earn or liquid loans. So you could, in theory, not worry about it. Take your borrowed amount of money and buy the other asset back if you wanted to. All these are options that are on the table. So just something to consider, that we're in something unique and a unique place right now. And these DeFi tools that we have on PulseChain are going to really, I want to say they're really going to take off, and you're going to see the DeFi rocket ship take off once we really get going good in PulseChain, because all these things earning passive income are going to be a mecca for people who want to put their money someplace safe that they can trust, with all these immutable smart contracts and stuff like that. Not to mention automation we'll be bringing with Tetra.
Yeah, I'll bring up too, just for anyone else new, Kerry and otherwise, I've got a bunch of playlists with things for onboarding and how to do pretty much everything in PulseChain. Vintage Richard Hart, if you're interested in looking at our founder and the many smart and funny things he said over the years, and making money in crypto. Again, this is one of my favorite series. Again, Neil was on number 2. Yeah, it's Sloth, Neil, Dylan, and Axis so far. If anyone wants to learn how to make money in this ecosystem, these could be some of the best 5 hours you've ever binged as far as making money goes. My opinion. I think the most bang for buck. It has 4 different perspectives, goes over a ton of different products, a ton of different ways to do it. Just up, down, left, right, all kinds of different opportunities in the ecosystem. And now the prices are green. Everyone should be a lot more interested in this type of stuff. So making money in crypto, I'll put this link in the chat as well. So awesome. Awesome, Kerry. I've been building my bag of all age products. Good to hear. Good to hear. Welcome aboard. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, here's another play you could possibly think of too. Let's say you've a lot of stable coins. You could go to fiat and get a loan, deposit them, and borrow against them, and then get some Pulse and ratio trade it for PulseX and do that game over and over again until you accumulate more, pay your loan back, and there you go. There's a use case for these other protocols like what Buck has made also. So there are options out there that are relatively risk-free, and you're just basically increase your position using the tools that are available on the blockchain. So now I wouldn't recommend leveraging or shorting anything, but just using the collateral assets to borrow against, I think could be a good thing.
Am I seeing 20% on stable coins? We have single side staking on stable coins here now.
Hey, there you go, man. But there it again. Maybe people are doing that right now. I don't know what people do with their money, but if what are they using their stable coins for? What are they borrowing? What are they borrowing against, right? And what assets are they trying to sit in? They're sitting in Pulse and it appreciates. They're making bank, right? Think about it. You just put in, say, $50,000 with a DAI, and Pulse went up just what it did 3 weeks ago. How much up are you, and you pay it back? Look how much more you made. Again,
that's a good case. That's a good case for everything that's paired to. So our ecosystem, we have different places to deposit stuff, liquidity, otherwise to make money. For example, on PHUX, you earn the incentivized incentivized pools earn the PHUX token. If that's tied to PLS and the whole ecosystem's going up, well, now your ability to provide liquidity, its value just went way up, and if it keeps the momentum, it keeps going up. You just keep making more money just because you participate in the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all my yield from PHUX is I think it's over doubled, in value. So when you go to claim and stuff, you see how much it is. Like, wow, I got twice what I had a couple weeks ago. So, I mean,
I never used to look at this, but now I want to look at it. It's like the portfolio. I never used to check my portfolio, and now I do every day.
Well, yeah. So, but anyway, these are tools that people can use if you use wisely, can help you increase your positions. So, I mean, or if you just want to be safe and put your stables in here and earn yield, you get 20%. At least today. I don't know what it is tomorrow, but anyway, these are just opportunities people have to use the assets to their advantage, decrease their value.
Got a question from Jazz. Do you guys see ink going back to $70? What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I can see it doing it. I think the speculative market is going to push it for whatever reason, and so you'll see it go back because some people bought it at 70, obviously, so they want to see it go to 70. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wicked up to 80. I always say 80, but yeah, 70 it did. Well, let's see, 62. Well, I guess it kind of wicked. I would say 80. Wicked up to 80, went down. It kind of held, let's say, in the $50, $60 range is where it stayed for a little bit, as its most commonly known high, as far as not just the wick, but yeah, it's went down here and it's like, oh, everything's good. Look, it's like $7. It's going to hold $7 for a while. And then actually, something good happened here. Well, what happened in October, Neil? October 16th looks like a good time. And then the real good time, January 6th. We're taking it back, Neil. We're taking back. January 6th is air date now.
Yeah. Well, if you overlay that to the pulse chart, you can kind of see how the bonding works. But when pulse was dumping, ink was dumping harder, right? But when pulse is pumping, ink pumps harder, just because of the bond liquidity and speculation. So there's all those things to consider. PulseX too, as well, if you compare all three. So those are things you have to kind of pay attention to when you look at the charts. And that's why ratios are more important than dollar value. Because you look at dollar values only, you're like, well, what about this? What about that? But if you think of how much pulse are you getting for your ink, that's what you got to consider. Because you could potentially have $70 ink, but you may get so little pulse, it may not be worth it. Versus today, you may get way more pulse. It just depends on how the ratio is at any given time. But because they're all bonded, I don't see that getting too far out of whack. There's going to be a ratio range these things will tend to stay in just because of how the liquidity is bonded.
Just wanted to cover this real quick too. Again, best content creators of any ecosystem, hands down. I've seen no data against that. Millions of views. What do we got? How many is on here? So, let's see, 71. Let's say 70. I think 70, or are we counting Richard? I don't know. 69, 70, and then so 63 million views for our ecosystem. So you see anyone betting against 50? That many views, that many streamers, that many people who have skin in the game, who will make this thing succeed. The whales help. The whales definitely help. We love the whales, but we got people on the ground, Neil.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. I mean, and we have a very intelligent community. I mean, compared to statistically speaking, our community is probably way smarter than most other communities as far as in crypto in general. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I just given the people on this list and what they understand about how things work. I mean, we blow any other chain out of the water. I mean, they have a small group, but we have so many, and we give it the information out for free. We educate people constantly how to use these tools. I mean, I'm not trying to keep the secret of ratio trading to myself. I want people to use these tools. I mean, I want everybody to succeed. That's why we built, all the stuff on Omnis and stuff. We're building Tetra because we want people to succeed on chain. We can all win if we work smart. Obviously, it's always a trading game. Obviously, there's going to be winners, losers, and trades. But some people willing to sell at losses, that's on them, and it makes opportunity for others. So.
Is that the cool thing about this ecosystem too? Is that the lack of, or the optimization away from zero sum? Like we literally want everyone to win. We want to give them the tool. I mean, not everyone, I guess, but most people who are public facing, who have these conversations and otherwise, I don't know, at least for me, I guess I like speak for myself. Like I want to see everyone win. Everyone who puts in the time, effort, energy, may they have the maddest of gains. And that would make me way more happy than just me being a billionaire, or just Richard, achieving glory and all this stuff. Like we are a coalition of the just get it done. man. It's really inspiring. And I think we all inspire each other. I was talking to RG3 the other day, and I'm like, dude, you inspire me. Like, I look around and I'm like, I need to step my game up sometimes. Like, I need to, like, everyone kind of, it's this positive feedback loop, right? Like, how do we not win, Neil? Like, isn't it obvious that we win?
Well, I mean, I was joking in our Tetra chat. I said, yeah, in the end, we win. Today, that was today's update, but that's true. I mean, and I think you win if you play it smart. Now, if you want to be a trader and try to play the game and stuff, you always take risks. That's on you. But if you use these tools as they're built, especially these DeFi tools like Hex and PH ecosystem and Liquid Loans, Power City, Tetra, Internet Money and Dementra and all these other protocols, and use them correctly, you will win, because as price appreciation happens, you're getting a very valuable asset as yield, or 2 assets or 3 or whatever assets you're getting as yield. So it's really important people can play the game, and maybe if they're not greedy, they'll win in the long run, because it's not a tortoise and hare race. I mean, the hare may make a bunch of gains on a meme coin, but the tortoise is going to win out in the long run when the next bear hits. He's still getting yield. He's increased his positions, right?
Yeah.
But as the hare is bought and sold, now he's out of position. He needs to buy back in at a higher price. Because if we go up at the end of this next cycle, when the next bear starts, what's our floor going to be, right? Is it going to be sack price, or is it going to be, say, 10x above sack price, or 20x, or whatever the number is, right? And so if you get out at the bull, I'm out, and it goes back down, and you were an original sacrificer, you're now, say, a 10x out of your position, because it costs you that much more to get back in. Less profit.
Do you think that now that the OA, Godwell's back, all this stuff, now that the moves have been made, can it be undone? Is it one of those things where you talked about a floor? Again, I'm not trying to jinx anything, but is it? Could you see a day where they're like, all right, we're not gonna make any moves. We're not gonna do it anymore. We're done.
Well, is Ethereum ever going to go $3 again? Probably not. You see, now it may go down to $500. It won't go to 3. So will we ever go down below SAC again after this bull run? Probably not. There'll be too much liquidity in the system. We'll have the tools. We'll have people over here. I mean, I'm not going to take my money out if I'm earning money in DeFi. Why would I leave if I'm making money? I mean, it's like it's a no-brainer. Why would I leave a space that I know I can make residual income? That's why it's a different mindset. Trust me, than most people who want to get out, trade, sell the tops, buy the bottoms. That's a trader mentality. But if you're looking at wealth accumulation and long-term yield, you have to have a different mindset. You really think about where you put your money and how you can earn the most APY on your money. And with Tetra and these tools, we're in Omnis and these limit orders. These are tools that allow you to do so even in bear markets. So even in the bear market, you might not make as much, but you'll be making more than you had trying to speculate and trade. I mean, who wants to be caught in a bear trying to trade a bunch of meme coins and stuff and try to eke out money that way, when you can just be sitting in DeFi products earning passive income?
Yes. Want that, Neil. Want that.
Mm-hmm.
Do not want to be. I did a whole post. I'll find it here in a minute on meme coins too. Nothing against meme coins. I just got a lot of my thoughts out, which I think people found interesting too. I found it interesting to think about and really provide a fair case for them, and why I don't think they're worth it for me, for example, and why I don't promote them and otherwise. But they're an interesting topic. There's definitely a lot of pros and cons. So, anyways, Tetra, win Tetra Dev. Win Tetra. Win Tetra Dev.
Yeah, Stu. Win Tetra, Stu. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, no, you're throwing Stu under the bus now. You're throwing Stu. Sorry, Stu.
Well, he's our main dev, so I can throw him on the bus. We let him out of
the bus. He's under the bus.
Yeah, he's stuck in the basement again, so we got him locked up and chained up. He's coding away with the rest of the guys, but no, they're working on the next update. It's coming out here shortly. There's some technical stuff they're trying to work through, make sure it all works. We'll have private testing on the next update, and then it'll go out to the public shortly thereafter. Just, it's coding, it's software, it just takes time. And again, people forget we're building all this from scratch, and everything we do is not a fork of anything. So everything Omnis and how it functions, Tetra, Atlas, Stratus, all this is a from scratch build that we're using. And Stu and his guys have been very, very good at coming up with these ideas. And what really makes us different, I think, than most everything else in crypto in general is we aren't using any third parties to rely on any data or any feeds. Everything's coming directly, all the data comes directly from the DEXs and the trading pairs, and all the DEXs linked to Omnis. So when you trade and the price feed comes in, it is coming from the DEXs, not from a third party service, because we just can't trust third parties to always work when they're supposed to.
Decentralization. That's a big part of our ecosystem, big part of our ethos.
Well, our motto is we're going to decentralize DeFi. I know it's redundant, but it's making a point that we're going to make sure that the tools and stuff we build will always work, be vertically integrated, and that we can do what we need to do, as well as export them to other chains if we need to, and we will eventually to facilitate, the people who have stuff on Ethereum. Let's say, I mean, I would love to automate my hex stakes on Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
Or your ICOSA and or your Hedron and all the stuff over there, right?
Anything yield farm related, of course, arbitrage, anything I just don't, there's so many buttons, especially if you do, yield farm, man, you got to click like 50 buttons. It sucks. Anytime you want to remove it or add it, or it's like, I don't need to click 7. Why is the 7 buttons? Why is it 7 buttons?
It's all the permissions. I know, I get it. I mean, I know why they do it, but it's just, you can Tetra do that for you automatically. And we'll be able to do that. We'll be able to help you and help the hexagons on Ethereum. And then as we go to other chains in the future to show people the light, and hopefully bring people back to PulseChain and say, hey, look, cheaper, faster, and a lot more products over here. Why don't you come and enjoy the spoils over here? Because, we have RH ecosystem, RH coins are just going up and up.
Dude. And people are starting to notice, and it's not, again, I mentioned earlier, I've been going to a lot of live streams, and just, you can't imagine just going there, being friendly. You can super chat them, not super chat them, whatever you want, but just getting people, letting people know about PulseChain, letting them know about Hex, telling them like, hey, there's green candles up here. Maybe they'll talk about it. Maybe there could be content around it too. And then you get, their followers looking at your stuff, and they decide whether they like it or not. So I encourage everyone. I posted a link before too. Let's see if you go to my highlights. I didn't even know what highlights were before, and I'm like, oh, that's actually useful. So highlights, and you go to, this is how you can see what's live now. So you type in crypto, you can sort by the most views or whatever. I wonder if we're on here. I wonder if it actually picks it up. It should, I would think. Crypto. I know if I type in PulseChain, it'll come up, but it's the gatekeeping, Neil. It's gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me do. Oops. Actually, let me go back and just do it here. PulseChain. Yeah. Okay. So right now, So we got a what's up, Hexfire? Sorry for taking peeps right now. You know what? You should apologize, Crispy Man. You're taking people from me right now. We're doing to each other. We're ratio trading right now.
Right. Well, yeah.
Live chart. Anyways, you can go here again. Don't be afraid to let people know, and again, in a polite, respectful way. Don't make us look like jerk offs or anything, but just be like, hey, you heard of PulseChain, whatever. You like connecting other communities and showing them superior products, what we believe to be at least, cannot be underrated. And it's just, if I'm just doing it, no one else is doing it, I can't scale. So like, that's why I'm telling people like, hey, help me scale. Go here, go to live stream, make this a bookmark, go there when you're feeling bored and just see who's talking about what, and maybe they'll talk about PulseChain.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at what was on was a crypto banner the other day. All the red bubbles and all the RH stuff was all in green. It's like, you can't get better advertisement than that.
Yes.
I was like, wow. I mean, we were all going up and everything else is lava.
I've been racking my brain for the last few months. I've been asking everyone I can, how can we promote this ecosystem without green candles? I assume there'll be no green candles. Before 2 weeks ago, I assume there's no green candles. I don't know when they're going to come. I'm not going to rely on them. How can we do it? And it was from building. I started building producing a lot of the onboarding content. Just trying to solve little problems around the ecosystem, stuff like that. Now that we have green candles, let me go down to the tweet. Now that we have the green candles, you can't ignore. Yeah, like you said on banner show and otherwise. If you see this and you're on stream and everything else, I don't have everything else here, but usually there's a bunch of bubbles. But these are just the top 5. That I had on the list. But anyways, you see them popping out. You see, this is I think the monthly, but you see something go up 100%, you got to pay attention. Like if it's on your screen and it's a legit thing, you got to pay attention to that. So the more the green candles come, the more the big shows can't ignore them. The more people are going to understand, hey, this thing is, there's something here. I don't know what it is, but maybe they don't understand what it is at first, but you can't look away, and you can't just keep not talking about it either. So it's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, we just it's wonderful to see these things happening because, of course, with the Bitcoin halvings coming here shortly, and hopefully that'll change. But the ETFs were kind of a dud, at least for Bitcoin guys. But for us though, RH is like, he didn't care because he's like, we'll pump our own stuff. I don't need Bitcoin. I don't need Ethereum. And so here we are.
What's next for Hex 2? I like this storyteller's tweet. Looking at the ratios, it's probably smart to start rating money in Hex. Hex is king. Don't learn the hard way. We've seen Hex go up, of course, with everything else, but we haven't seen it make big moves yet as far as, what hasn't done an ink yet. Do you think that, is it kind of, do we just have less people in? I don't know. I don't even know how to rationalize it. Is it just everyone's excited about PulseChain and it's the L1, and Hex is just, the premier product, for example, along with PulseX. Yeah. What do you think about Hex and this run up?
Well, okay. So Hex has obviously got to compete with, 4 of the products. You got to compete with eHex, PulseX 5, and then Inc. So you got all these products now going to be, they're just diluted in total number of people participating, because most everybody who is a Hexagon is in PulseChain, right? So therefore, if you have a finite amount of capital, where are you going to put it in? And that's the question. And so if you only have so much Hex or so much money and buy PulseX, whatever you are, or you buy them all equally, or however you position yourself, you just don't have, unlike just having Hex out there, there's just less money to go to the one thing. So it'll be a function of that. But now Richard can push the price if he wants to. He can take SAC funds and buy Hex up and push the price, and people buy more because they speculate. Maybe they'll stake and all these things. So Richard has, and the OA and whoever the entities are can, and the whales can do what they want to do with the price. And Hex has always been Richard's baby. So I would say that it's probably going to be the thing he wants to make the most gains. And PulseChain will just be a function of the success of the chain as more and more people come into it. And he'll pump that as well because they're all bonded. So,
just checking in on our favorite Godwell over here. He's just got a cool, 54 million in Hex. Just a cool 8 billion Hex. 8 billion, but he's staked for like 15 years for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, 14. It always cracks me up when I see it. It looks wrong, It looks fake. Doesn't that look fake? 14.1 years staked. What a champ. What a Chadwell.
Yeah, I mean, but he obviously doesn't need the capital, so he can do that and help push the price. And so hopefully in 14 years he'll be able to extract his value, at least some of it, so he can be rewarded for his patience. And I hope that's the case. And I think as we go and do this and Hex increases in value, people who have long-term stakes will be rewarded. I mean, most of my stakes are, more longer than 5 years. So I was kind of just looked at the long-term, valuation myself personally. I wasn't concerned with short-term gains because I didn't have time to trade, The only trade I'm doing now is because I have tools to do so, like limit orders, because I don't have time to sit behind a computer and try to time a market buy. That's a novice move there. I mean, if you're doing that, you're wasting money. I mean, that's why I said to Corey the other day. I said, look, smart people use limit orders. I mean, traders do not use market buys. They just don't do it. Yeah. Traders use limit orders on any centralized exchange. That's how they do it.
Everyone complaining about 38% APY being, it's some fake number. Dude's getting 92% APY here.
Yeah, just right.
92%. Yep. He's 26K daily, $26,000 of value. A lot of it's liquid, a lot of it can't sell because I love liquidity of all crypto to sell a lot of this stuff yet. Who knows in a few years, but this dude's thinking long term. He's a believer. And gosh, even if I had no liquidity right now, making 26K per day, what again, it's unreal. It is literally unreal.
Yeah, I know. I know we got a lot more tokens as far as Pulse tokens than Ethereum does, but Eventually, though, we'll eventually get more and more, value locked in the system. And someday, what if Pulse hits a penny, right? What does that do to everybody? What does it do to Hex? What does it do to PulseX? What does it do to Inc? All these things, right? That's not out of the realm of impossible, because it's just, what is that, 1000x? Yeah, 1000x roughly, or just less. So yeah, what if it does that, right? I mean, Ethereum did way more than that. It did 14,000x. So that's not much. We're 1/14th of Ethereum. If we do that, though, all these things are bonded will go up in value as well. So it's possible that people like Godwell and others who have staked long-term, large bags could extract that value from the system, through PulseX Inc., or even stable coins using it in loans, good liquid loans. I mean, just imagine what you could do and get your money out. We have tools now. We didn't have liquid loans and earn over on Ethereum. So all the Hex guys could have done that if they had the tools.
Talk about that too. What if Godwell, he wanted to go buy a few Lambos? How would he do it right now without, market killing the price?
So he could, well, I mean, he could, I don't know how much he's got liquid, but he could go and use the liquidity to.
He's got $56. Let's pretend he has a few $1 million liquid.
Okay, you get a few $1 million liquid. Yeah, just go in the LP pools and let people, buy your tokens, and you get them, you get your cash out. But then you take that your DAI that you get out of it, swap for USDL, then go to liquid loans. I mean, or swap for Pulse, and then go to liquid loans, and get you a loan, and then now you have a loan. Whether you want to liquidate or not, it's irrelevant. And then you go buy your Lambos, and then you didn't hurt the price of Pulse. Hex is traded for Pulse, right? It just changed the ratio some, and you could get out that way, or when earn launches through PulseX. So that's how you get out and not hurt the system.
Are you telling me that this ecosystem is comfortable for whales? Comfortable they can get liquidity without killing the price? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. I mean, that's what these tools are designed for. Never selling. That was the whole thing with liquid loans, and earn. You don't have to sell the asset. So if you have good bond liquidity, like with Hex, you can take your Hex and swap for Pulse. Yeah, you may push the price for Pulse down a little bit. I mean, Hex down a little bit, but there's so much Pulse, people just buy it back up, right? And then now you can take that and get a loan, versus just dumping it on everybody's heads like you had to, or you had to exit out through like V3 liquidity on with Uniswap. That was how you used to do it on Ethereum. But now you have other tools.
Is that another pumpamental, like for PulseChain and Hex, everything else that's kind of nobody really talks about, is you don't have to sell. You literally don't have to sell. And all the whales you think are going to dump on you, hey, they might still do it, but they have much better options now.
Exactly. If you, let's say Godwill did it today. He goes and takes a loan out today, and he takes his cash and goes buy a Lambo, whatever. What happens in 6 months when the price goes up? Now I can take another loan out and do something else with that money. I'll go take that loan and buy more Pulse, or buy some Hex back if you wanted to, and stake it again. All these are options that we didn't have before, that was readily available on Ethereum. We do here in PulseChain, multiple ways now. So,
bullish.
I mean, what if he took all his assets? What if he said, you know what, I'm gonna buy a bunch of yield-bearing assets. I'm gonna buy some internet money, some Mintra, I'm gonna buy some, some Tetrum, I'm gonna buy some, whatever the tokens are that bear yield, right? What if he decided to do that and just have Pulse just, fill his wallet back up? Sounds pretty good. What if he sets a whole bunch of strategies with limit orders and just ratio trades the whole time with $1 million? Let's say he ratio trades $1 million every day, with just even just a 1% range, and he slowly increases his bags up 1% for, say, a year. Think about it. He's now accumulated all his money back. You see,
it's like a dream. It's a dream that Godwell would just walk around the ecosystem and be like, how can I just keep positive feedback loop in this thing? How can I just keep taking my money and getting more yield? And just like, I mean, he has those coins. He sacrificed for a few different projects, so he definitely has interest in the ecosystem projects. So boy, if he starts making moves like that, man, it could be Christmas all over again.
Well, I mean, with Tetra, we could probably set strategies just for him if he wanted to. Large plays, large moves. He can move his money around and safely earn yield and not have to risk his tokens easily within the tools that are on chains.
Don't dilute my staking pool. Don't dilute my staking pool. Don't dilute my staking pool.
Well, I'm just saying, though, these are options he has, so he could do that. But he could even just run stuff. Like I said, he could ratio trade this whole time if he wanted to. Imagine him in ratio trading his bag. What would that do? What would the price do? You see, now he can't do too big of a bag, obviously, but he can do a good chunk. I mean, it's $50 million of liquidity. He could probably drop a couple $100,000 and ratio trade it back and forth and do pretty well, and not hurt the price one way or the other. And then we'd all benefit with the volatility, wouldn't we? If we're trading with them.
I don't know. My body's ready, man.
So instead of earning 3%, you maybe earn 8 or 10% a wick, right? You see the difference? I mean, that's how you can think about these things when these big players start moving. And once we have automation, I have a feeling some of the bigger players who have bigger bags, like, you know what? I'm ready to move some larger capital around to earn this yield, because now I can really get a good APY on my bag.
I'm super excited about that. Let me, man, Godwell just making moves and just him applying some of the strategies you've talked about. That would be just amazing and not too far fetched. I mean, the guy, I mean, I don't know. I guess he's made some, I'm just pulling this up because somebody asked about the war chest. It's not out of the realm possibility. He definitely seems like a staking guy and just kind of sacrifice guy, but you never know when he could start making some moves for yield. And just for everyone watching, this is the war chest. Smallest hard decision, which fall expect to be your charts with estimated worth. This is the war chest of an entity that has made various moves, $600 million stable, $3.5 billion in hex, or is that, liquid wallet value, or that total, $3.5 billion total. Lots and lots of hex. And some of the moves that happened recently have been, I believe, related to these wallets. So that's what I've covered extensively. Just type in PulseChain Whales. I think, was it you that we talked about? Yeah, the moon math. Type in PulseChain moon math. And about a week or so ago, that video came out of Neil talking about what the OA could do, or what, he would do if he had, all this money and stuff to benefit the ecosystem. That was a lot of money, man, a lot of money. And we're starting to see it again. Let's go back to the question too, just what, we talked about before. It doesn't make any sense for it not to move eventually. We didn't know when it's going to happen. It happened like a week or two later. So are these moves so far, are they good? What do you expect? Anything? Is there anything else you'd be like, oh wow, if the OA did this or OA did that, like that would be amazing. Do you have any suspicions coming up?
Well, I think I would imagine he'd continue the same path he's on. You don't want to push the price up too far too fast, because then you get people just do market dump, because they're like, oh no, they got the sudden wealth syndrome, right? They just dump and then, I'm out forever and all these things. They hurt themselves, because then he does it again and push the price up anymore. Now they're depressed. So I would think a slow, steady growth is better than high, like straight up hockey sticks, because straight up hockey sticks are kind of suspect. Like, this is unnatural, right? If you buy, even if you only buy like 500,000, million at a time or whatever, it's a slow growth, and people then can exit at the positions they choose to exit, just like Hex did, right? As Hex did a double, people exited out. It was on them. And then, as Richard said, you could sold on a double and a double and a double all the way down, right? Well, it's the same way with PulseChain. So I would say he would probably continue the same pattern, because it makes more sense and it's a little more organic and it allows people time to get in. You don't want to just push the price past people's buy-in, because then they're diluted, right? They can't get in. They get a lot less tokens. So I'd rather be benevolent for him, or whoever these entities are, or even just whales, to just slowly buy in. It allows the average person to come in too and take part of the gains, right? So we all have a chance to acquire tokens at a reasonable rates. As the price moves, and you just DCA in and get your average, as down as far as you can.
Is there any possibility you could think of that we wouldn't see any more benevolent moves from the OA at this point? You think we're just getting started, or could you just see it up to you guys now?
I think it'll probably come up. It'll probably be a flatter curve later on, whatever later on may be. I have no idea, but less and less will be done as more and more new money comes in the system, right? Because that's really what you need all the money to come from Ethereum and Polygon and Chainlink and all over here, right? You want that money to come and people to invest. And so with tools like Coast, with fiat on ramps around all these countries around the world, stuff like that, we have tools now to bring people right into the chain. And there's others. I'm sure there's others too out there. I think like PulseLM and a few others that allow you to to on ramp to come in relatively easily. So, and more to come, I'm sure. So, I mean, we have ways to get money in the system and lock it up. We have tools to increase yield and to treat people, in a very benevolent way. So I would say that Richard's and the OA and whoever the entities are doing the right thing, And I think that a slow, steady growth is better, and allow the market to then, organically react to the growth and go from there.
The green can, if we talked about the plan and stuff before too. I mean, the green candles, when everything else who knows what's going to happen with Bitcoin ETF and crypto for the next few months. We've got the halving coming up, and otherwise, if it does go sideways and PulseChain is green, is there better marketing than that?
I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, we will be where else you want to get your money? Where does price go up at? Over here at PulseChain. Where can you use good quality DeFi products to earn money on your money? PulseChain. Where do you have trustless, smart contracts? PulseChain, right? Where do you have a community of people willing to help you and educate you for free? PulseChain. All the things that we'll have the best playground, best stuff, all the NFTs you want, and all the things, whatever you're into, we'll have it over here. And automation. So on top of it all.
I've heard of automation before. It seems to be coming soon, very soon.
Very soon, yeah.
Neil, what do you want? Anything else you want to bring up or talk about, or otherwise take us out on?
Just remind people, when you go trade, look at the ratio. Always, ratios are king. That's what you got to pay attention to on the charts. Always look at things in pulse terms, and you'll see the true value of all these. All the tokens and where they really are, because that's when you'll see who's actually buying the token versus the price associated with pulse in USD value. So just wherever you are, wherever you're sitting in, whatever you're trying to acquire, have a plan. Think about what you want to do, and look at these past videos. The tools are there with Omnis for ratio trading, limit orders. It's so easy to do. And there's really no reason for anybody not to increase their bag size or positions by not using these tools. I have you can come to my YouTube channel. I have some videos and some stuff. I explain slippage real well about how things work with the decentralized limit orders. They work a little bit different than a centralized order book. So just take a look at that, and then come to our Telegram. We're all there to help you. And so.
One last question before we go to which one pump next, eICOSA, pICOSA? Is there any nuance there for the pairs?
Well, see, I guess it depends on how active the hedge fund market is, really, because ICOSA is a function of it, right? So, I would say probably pICOSA. Well, probably pICOSA will probably jump a little bit more just because of PulseChain's green candles. You'll just have the bond liquidity pull it up faster than eICOSA. But once eHex jumps up, then eICOSA will be right behind it, and then it will be the potential leverage trade play based upon the market at that time. But then again, you're also going to pay probably $30 to $50 a trade over there too. So it's your money. You just do the math.
Well, if ICOSA goes back to $1 and people bought it at 85 cents because then it was cool again, then everything will be fine. 3 cents,
or
3 cents,
or if you're staked in the ICOSA and the Hedron and the contracts, you should be earning Hedron ICOSA every day. I don't know how much with the rate where the ROI is now, but yeah, I mean these are all options we have. This is true DeFi. It's true yield.
It was amazing. ICOSA, that was the hot thing in the ecosystem. People are like, staking it, you were earning, God, it was like 100, 150% for a while.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. It was seeded. I think that seed round was over. I guess it went down a little bit after that. I can't really remember, but I think after that, maybe it went down a little bit. But then the price went down so much that everyone stopped caring. Like, oh, I'm earning thousands of Hedron thousands of ICOSA per day. Oh, who cares? It's not worth anything. And then the price goes up, and everyone, it's cool again. Neil, ICOSA is cool again. Always amazes me. Neil for T-shirts, everyone. Fantastic stream as usual. We had his Twitter, his YouTube up there. Work for Crypto? Mm-hmm. On YouTube, and Twitter, it is Neil for T-shares, right? At Neil for T-shares.
Yeah, yes, I think so. Or Neil for Crypto. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
I'll look it up. I'll put it in the description if anyone is confused about it. But yeah, man, always a pleasure. Glad you could hop on today. And yeah, anyone who just joined, replay gang. It's worth it. Great episode.
Well, thanks for having me, Max. I enjoyed it. Just anybody has any questions, please contact us. I mean, DM me. I don't care. I take DMs. I answer people all the time, so it's okay.
Appreciate you, Neil. You are an asset to the community for sure, and looking forward to more green candles.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, everyone. Scivive 5555. We will win.